This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
All right, guys. So technical difficulties have become the norm for the vlog. Sorry. Keith Engel here for TGI Sports Talk with my weekly vlog. Still on the high seas. Maybe you'll see something from me on the high seas. Who knows? Maybe you've seen something in between. If you do, I apologize. We're recording a couple of vlogs ahead of time just so we got some stuff in the bank to play should we need it. Today, I want to chat a little bit about the future of college football. You know, to me, it's never been more in doubt where this sport is going with the NIL's name, image, likeness rulings, and players able to get paid very little, very little guidance or guidelines from the NCAA. Not supposed to be used as a recruiting tool, but it's being used like that everywhere. That's the only way. Deion Sanders gets the best recruit in the country away from Florida State to go to Jackson State. As just one example. We've got guys who are getting paid NIL money and then never showing up to play. They get it. There was an example of a kid in high school who foregoed. I don't know. Who did not play his senior year? Excuse me, in high school, but got $1 million from Ohio State. Not from Ohio State. Sorry, from a booster from somebody. NIL money after he committed to Ohio State. Don't tell me there wasn't some kind of recruiting, use of that in the recruiting process. And then he left the school. I don't know if he had to pay the money back or not. Again, so the NCAA is letting the leagues, the conferences and the schools police themselves in most instances, and there's no bigger recipe for disaster. So that's number one thing. You get the transfer portals where all the players are free agents basically for year in and year out. Now you can only use it twice, but that's still a pretty good advantage throughout your career. And I think it's wrong and hurting the sport. You don't see any cohesiveness from year to year to these rosters. Right? Some of the best players in the country move around. Slovis goes from UCLA to Pittsburgh. Rattler goes from Oklahoma to South Carolina. Williams goes from Oklahoma to USC. Oklahoma lost the two guys who played quarterback for them last year, and they're a freshman and a sophomore. Now, I see sometimes where they should be able to do it if the coach moves on or whatnot. After their first year there, and the guy committed to 4 years of this coach. But overall, I don't think it's a great idea. Same thing with the coaches and players being nomads. And I see my banners misspelled. I apologize. They're basically nomads. Coaches have no allegiance to the schools. Their contracts are worthless pieces of paper. Because other schools are not afraid to pay the buyouts, the huge buyouts there is to get the Brian Kellys, of the world to move. Mel Tucker's got a big contract now in Michigan State and a huge buyout. There's nothing to keep him there. 10-year contract, I believe he signed. There's nothing there's no way we can assume Mel Tucker will be there 10 years from now. Even if he performs well. I mean, the school could fire him, yes, but he could move on his own volition at any point in time. He is not tied to that contract. And that's not good for the sport either. I mean, when I was growing up, and then conference realignment. Who the heck knows who's going to play in what conference, for the next 10 or 15 or 20 years. When I was growing up in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, and again, I know I'm old, and here I am, the old guy on his porch again, yelling to get off my lawn. But there was There was cohesiveness. There was it's a word I'm looking for. You knew what to expect year after year. You knew that Oklahoma and Nebraska were to compete for the Big 8 championship, and that was awesome. And you knew that Michigan and Ohio State were going to compete for the Big 10. And you knew that UCLA and USC and Washington were all going to be playing the Pac-10. Well, that one's still in play, but the others aren't. Nebraska's long gone to the Big 10. Horrible choice by Nebraska, have not been relevant since. Natural rivalries gone down the drain. Knowing who you're going to see on your team for 4 years. Right? Back in the day, Penn State, say you're a Penn State fan or a Pittsburgh fan. Let's use Pittsburgh in the 70s. You knew that team was building towards a really good team when Tony Dorsett and Matt Cavanaugh came in there as freshmen and played their entire 4 years there, and they built that team around them. Some other great players are on those teams. You don't know that now. You have no idea if you bring a Tony Dorsett into a team today that he's going to be here 2 years, much less 4. You don't even know if he's going to be here 1 year now. All of this is hurting college football. The money's getting bigger in TV contracts. Obviously, Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC, their contract's going to be huge. The playoff realignment, hopefully that's to come, will make the money will be huge. And it's all good for the sport in my mind, as far as the playoff goes. But the conference realignment that we talked about ad nauseum in some of these vlogs and on my shows, not good for the sport. The player movement, unlimited movement almost, not good for the sport. The coaches showing no allegiance to a school that they're still in their contract for years. And I understand that loyalty goes both ways, and if they don't win, they'll be out. I get that. That's kind of the way it is in every world, right? You sign a contract to do a job. You either do the job well and fulfill your contract, or you don't do it well and they fire you and they have to pay you to go away. But the sport's heading down a bad path. And this isn't just college football. It's also college basketball, college baseball even, where there's not nearly the money involved as there is in football and basketball. But look at the residual effect on this constant realignment in football over the last decade and a half. Really, the last decade, I guess, when you think about it. I mean, the basketball schools have been hurt by decisions football programs make. Look at the Syracuses of the world, the Pittsburghs of the world, the Boston Colleges of the world. Now the Oklahomas and the Texas of the world. They're going to be hurt by the fact that they've got to change their conference alignments. They're going to lose natural rivalries that they've had for decades and decades in some cases, because the football team wanted to go for a more lucrative payday in a bigger conference or a different conference. Syracuse is a perfect example in the leaving the Big East to play in the ACC. No natural rivals. They're fortunate when they can fit Georgetown into their schedule, when they would play them twice a year before. Great rivalry. Same thing with UConn and St. John's and all these other teams that competed in the Big East. The basketball teams that got left behind, have been trying to pick up the pieces ever since because the football schools left. Now the Big East is starting to get into some kind of relevance again in basketball. But it's been years, and the football the decisions that football programs are making are hurting not just the football that we're going to see over the next 2 decades, in my mind. It's getting to be like professional sports, where guys are all over the place from year to year, and there's no continuity. That's the word I was looking for before. And it gets to be hard. You don't know who's coaching, who's going to be playing where, or you don't even know what conference they'll be playing in. much less what school. And it's had a ripple down effect and hurt the basketball programs. And in turn, it's hurt, probably the baseball programs and the women's sports. Very short-sighted on the NCAA and conferences, NCAA football conferences, and the people in those schools that are in conferences that are making these decisions, very short-sighted to line their pockets now and not worry about the popularity of the sport and rivalries and tradition that they blow up when they make these types of decisions. So college sports, college football and specifically, and college sports in general, are in trouble and under fire in this country. And where does it end? You like it? Let me know. Am I wrong? Let me know. Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talk, right here on Northeast Streaming Sports. See you later.